any night or day. And you tell them to keep them away, cause you don't want no breeding ground. So make sure you cover buckets and drums. Get rid of useless containers, those that make a like water. Ensure your drains are free flow. These are good things to know. We got to partner together. We're urging everyone to do their part today, because together we can make it better. This threat we must eradicate. Everybody, do your part right now. Do your part right now. We're urging everybody. Do your part right now. Do your part right now.
In case you don't know us, you're just twisting that dial away and managed to bump into us. This is ZIZ Radio from Adam St. Kitts.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Frank and Candid. Welcome to this hump day, as we call it. Glad to have you on board. I'm Tony Nias, and we go to the news as we usually do. Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the Organization of American States, Sir Ronald Sanders, on Tuesday called for an end to the celebration of the Encounter of Two Worlds. This is an annual event promoted by Spain to mark the so-called discovery of the New World by Christopher Columbus. The U.S. celebrates Columbus Day shortly. So Ronald said that Antigua and Barbuda would not be a true friend of Spain if it were to pretend that this occasion is one that we welcome and support. He says the native peoples of these lands were not in need of discovery. They already had a civilization, a rich culture, and knowledge that suited the sustainability of their environment. All that was either destroyed or desecrated by the arrival of Columbus and his crew, who stumbled upon these lands in mistaken belief that they had navigated a new route to the Indies. He further said that apart from genocide and enslavement of the native peoples of the Americas, the encounter threw open the gateway for centuries of brutal slavery of African people and the exploitation of Asian indentured labor in some Caribbean countries. And it should not be celebrated, it should be lamented, adding, it was an encounter contrived on the ideology of European superiority that is today commonly called racism. The freedom that the European settlers sought in these lands, now called the Americas, came at the expense of the lives, land, labor, blood, and resources of non-white. Anti-vaccine residents in a village in rural Guatemala have attacked the nurses who were trying to administer COVID-19 jabs, holding them for 7 hours, that's according to officials there. About 500 people blocked the road and vandalized the team's cars in northern province. The 11 workers were released after police negotiated with the villagers, who destroyed about 50 vaccine doses. Authorities say online disinformation, feeding resistance to the vaccines. The nurses were verbally and physically attacked by the residents, who let the air out of the workers' tires, destroyed the cool boxes storing the doses, and that's according to a health ministry statement. That's a look at what's happening close by in the news to the moment. All right, today our discussion here on Frank and Candid takes us to a discussion about our urban development, and many times we talk about that on this program, and today we're going to put some meat on that, because in studio I have some guests who are well prepared and well positioned to talk to us about urban development in St. Kitts. I do have Mr. Ron Boddy, who is the acting director of the Urban Development Unit. I also have Mr. Stephen Duggins, who is the chair of the Urban Development Corporations. I'm confusing you already, because I'm sure, just like a lot of us, we hear these two things and we don't understand. But stay with us, because by the end of this, you will know exactly why there is a distinction if there is one, right? So let me begin by letting these gentlemen introduce themselves and talk about what they do and their particular units or entities. Mr. Body?
Thank you, Mr. Nias, and I want to say good morning to our listening public as we sit today with you to discuss urban development on a whole. My name is Ron Body. I'm with the Urban Development Unit, and just to give a brief of what the Urban Development Unit is and does, is that we provide services for the urban areas in St. Kitts. We basically are responsible for regulating land uses along with the physical planning within the urban space, planning for economic and social development, slum improvement, which is a big thing for us, and the alleviation of poverty, promotion of culture, education, and basically improving the aesthetics of what we consider or what we have identified as urban areas. Now, in St. Kitts in particular, the Sustainable Development Ministry and by extension physical planning would have identified 3 areas thus far as urban areas in St. Kitts. One obviously would be our capital, Bastia. Then we look at Sandy Point as a second urban area and Keon as the third. And basically we look to generate benefits by better using or utilizing the existing infrastructures and creating better productivity within the Bastia, Sandy Point and Keon areas. And I'll hold here for now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the chairman of the Urban Development Corporation, Mr. Duggins, Stephen Duggins, for his intro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nest. And I said Tony?
Sure.
Okay, Tony, and good morning to Mr. Buddy. And to the listening audience, wherever you are. Okay, first of all, as introduced, I'm Stephen Duggins, present chairman of the Board of Directors for the Urban Development Corporation Limited. And throughout the program, you'll now hear me say UDC. So that long term, anyhow you hear UDC, we're talking about the Urban Development Corporation Limited. And the corporation has been around for some 20 years. It started first as a company focusing on infrastructure development and construction. And primarily, the main focus has been, up until now somewhat, the development of Port Zante. Later, that company got involved in things like land sales and property management, etc. Legally, it's a statutory corporation which was incorporated somewhere back in December 1992 under the Companies Act. And it was what we call a special purpose company, which was a joint venture between the government of St. Kitts Nevis and the Island Dredging Limited. And today, we see some changes. We see a board of directors, like I say, led by myself. We see management now by what we call a CEO, doing the day-to-day operations, and maybe I'd like to just mention that for those who don't know, that person is Mistress Cindy Nias, who is doing a fantastic job, I must add. And I want to take this opportunity before we break to let persons know, UDC is more than Port Zante. I know every time you hear UDC, you think of Port Zante. And later we talk about some of the plans we have in terms of development of Port Zante, yes, but extending beyond Port Zante and Bastia in general. Also, I want to say our main source of income comes from basically 3 areas, right? Land sales, which are dried up considerably. We're not selling any land right now. They have the marina, the car park, and leasing of what we call common area, which I'll talk about later. Finally, before I rest, all those buildings, stores, etc., they are privately owned. They are not owned by UDC as a corporation. And we'll get into that discussion later, because persons think we own all those buildings and so we have a lot of money, etc., etc. That's what they always say, but in general, it's a statutory body. And we are self-sufficient so far, unlike some others who have to depend on government to help out at the end of the month. We are still trying to maintain that status of being self-sufficient without dipping into government coffers. But that is the situation in terms of introduction.
Okay. All right. We will have a lot to talk about UDC in a minute. And let me go back to Mr. Body here and deal with just international issue. Tell me about this World Habitat Day, UN Habitat, and its relation to urban development in St. Kitts.
Okay. UN Habitat, United Nations Habitat, is an arm of the United Nations that governs and supports urban development and settlements. UN Habitat puts in place a recognition month, basically, which is October. Every year in October, they term it Urban October, right? And there's a day, Habitat Day, UN Habitat Day, which is on the first Monday of every October, which would have been the 4th 2 days ago. That day was celebrated. The minister, our minister, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards, would have made an address on that day, highlighting some of the responsibilities of urban development and stuff like that. But the reason why we are here today is for that purpose. We have not in the past been able to celebrate this month, but we felt it important that the public is aware that there is an urban development unit, there is an urban development corporation, and what we are about to and celebrate this month along with the rest of the world.
Before we leave you in Habitat, though, do you get any, what kind of support you get from that, financial or otherwise?
Currently, we don't get support that way. Not urban development, I'm not certain, because they also deal with settlement. So maybe NHC or one of those corporations might be getting support, but currently we at Urban Development Unit do not get the support because we have never asked, really.
So,
that's about it.
Speaking of the minister responsible for urban development and his speech, in that speech that you referenced, he talked about or laid out some of the commitments of the Urban Development Unit. And one of those he mentioned was to promote measures that support a cleaner St. Kitts Nevis, tackling pollution in towns and villages of St. Kitts and Nevis. And he said it's good both for people's health and for the country. Tell me how are we doing in terms of tackling that pollution? And I do get a lot of calls here on this program with regards to that. Talk to us about that and the plans.
Currently, Urban Development Unit plays a supportive role to other agencies that deal with some of these issues. With regards to a cleaner St. Kitts Nevis, we would support and sometimes prepare policies on solid waste. We have a program in place which is something that solid waste has been moving forward with, which is to remove derelict vehicles from around the country. We also support agencies like the Energy Unit in finding ways, preparing policies to have to cut down on the pollution caused by fuel consumption. Some of these areas has to do with renewable energy. There's a new project right now that we have been involved with, a solar farm that is supposed to be developed shortly. Also, we are looking at finding a way to encourage people to move towards EV vehicles, that's electrical vehicles. That in itself would help to cut down on the air pollution in St. Kitts and Nevis. The policies and plans are in the works. We work along with a lot of different agencies, including environment, to do cleanups and promote a cleaner environment.
Yeah. Another thing he mentioned in his speech, or reference in that speech, was the promotion of safe, accessible green spaces, green public spaces. Talking about the human interaction that was facilitated with sidewalks and gardens and squares, and similar to most spaces similar to Independence Square. How are we doing on that front? What's the plans on that front? In any of those areas we mentioned, Sandy Point, Keon.
Well, island-wide, I could start with the preparation and the creation of sidewalk spaces for persons to walk comfortably and safely outside of being put in the street. I'm sure the entire public would have realized that in our road program, the implementation of the new road surfacing program, we would have gone ahead as well to create sidewalks around the island.
Okay.
Whether it's new or widening, that's one of the things that urban development was instrumental in getting.
And that was much
done.
needed. That was much needed, yeah.
Yeah. Other green spaces that we speak about, Independence Square as one that you mentioned. The responsibility for the upkeep of Independence Square is not solely on the urban development. However, in the past we had taken on the refurbishing of the fountain in the square. I think it would have been 2019 was the last time, or maybe 2020 was the last time it was fully operational. People really enjoyed seeing water springing out of it again. Urban development was the entity that got that going. Unfortunately, due to vandalism and theft, that program had ceased. The pumps that were used to pump water and have the fountain going were stolen from the square.
Okay.
So I like to make an appeal to the public, because we are in the process of getting it back up and running, to keep an eye out and be vigilant for persons who might have those malicious
intentions, right? Okay. Hold your thoughts for a minute, because I want to go to the chairman of the Urban Development Corporation, or UDC as we're saying going forward. First of all, on a lighter note, the cruise ships coming back. We have had 2 back in Port Zante. First of all, we know they created a bubble on Port Zante, and I'd just like to get your impression of how that bubble has worked on 2 occasions now. What did you see? How did it go?
Let me first of all say, Tony, that the bubble, and let me say up front, UDC, though we play a significant role, we are not in the forefront in that bubble.
Okay.
We work closely with the Tourism Authority, the St. Kitts Port Authority, And as a matter of fact, we could lump in, well, the Ministry of Tourism, we could bring in now the task force. Because most of all the protocols and so on, task force play a major role.
Right.
But it seems...
But they're using your property.
They're using UDC property, yeah.
Okay.
So in that way we're involved. But we are involved as well in terms of preparation and the days that we work very hard. But the shopkeepers, the owners, they still say they're not making plenty money. Well, of course, they say they're not making, even they make it. But they're complaining that the tourists, though they move through, they're not buying. I don't know if it's a COVID impact on the economy worldwide. Right, that's one. We have not had too many complaints from the public saying they needed access and really private and that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's one of the disappointing. I thought more people might acquire it, but as from our reports, there were not too many persons complaining or needed access on the day, which prevented them from doing whatever it is they wanted to do. A number of places, we don't call the names, were excluded from the bubble. A number, one or two. They said they do more business with the local than the cruise ship passengers. And so they were able, especially if they were on the edge of the fencing, they were able to just leave them out the bubble. So you still had access to some parts where you walk with the foot until not in the middle section where you have real commercial trade. And so, but I don't know how long it will last in terms of the bubble, if you go for the next 6 months, a year. But it seemed to work for the time being.
Okay.
Quite a lot of involvement and behind the scene work, yes, but like I said, not much complaint from the public. The shop owners saying they're making as much money as tourists not buying, but that's something which we have no control over.
Well, speaking of your property, UDC property there, when these ships come into port, to the port, they actually enter your facilities or your property. And I'm sure you're happy now that the ships are coming back, because that would mean for you some extra revenue from these cruise ships.
I would say no, we don't get any extra revenue from the cruise ship. Our revenue would come from the cruise ships doing chartered tours and so on, and the smaller we call it, the smaller boats in the catamarans or in the marina.
In the marina, okay.
That's where we get the revenue, but directly, that's something we've been trying, and we'll continue to try to see if we get some bonus from the various the number of heads coming on board on the boat. That's Casper. Seaports Authority. Right. That's Casper.
Yeah, because Casper cannot exist there without you, because they come from Casper
right onto the port.
Right onto the port.
Yeah.
And you're saying there's no sharing.
There's no sharing of that part of the revenue.
Okay. All right. Well, let's leave that. Let's go to you talk about UDC and not solely Port Zante. Talk to me about some of the other areas and possibly plans.
Well, UDC over the past have focused on Port Zante. I think it was established primarily to help the development of Port Zante, and we're still doing that. As a matter of fact, later I'll talk about an exciting project we're working on now. If we are successful, it will mean a lot for St. Kitts. But yeah, we have done some work, I think, in conjunction with the EUDU, some work in the Newtown area. As far as I understand, sometime in the past they've done some work here and there around Bastia. But the current board now, we have started to look at expanding and moving out. We want to start doing some projects in the Old Road, where we mentioned Old Road, Keon, Old Road, Sandy. Those are the 3 areas we have targeted for work in terms of urban development. We have not yet pinpointed a particular project, but we say we have to move. That's one of our mandate. Okay. We have to move out from Port Zante and start spreading it to the other urban areas in St. Kitts.
Okay. All right. Well, we look forward to that. I mean, a lot of people have been wondering, apart from not understanding what urban development is and who is involved, they look at certain areas, for example, the waterfront. In St. Kitts, and they're saying, well, why hasn't that had some focus? Is UDC anywhere in that discussion?
And in all fairness to the former minister, he had asked us to start looking at that area and see what we could come up with in terms of what we could do for the entire waterfront going down towards Senator area. We started that discussion, but it has not really been brought to the fore for this new board. I think we're more focusing on two things right now. We're looking at a development, a possible development for the eastern side, which would give us something like maybe some 500 plus spaces for car park, for cars to park. That we're excited about to help with the problem in Bastia. Okay. We are looking at a marina now, almost twice the size of the one we have now, with some mega yachts. And bordering that marina would be small hotels and some shopping, some small shops of high quality. And we're trying to see how we could get some locals involved and getting a piece of that action. Okay. Yeah. So and we're talking jobs, we're talking more investment, we're talking about development. It would really transform the look of the present Port Zante. Okay.
All right. Quickly.
Just want to add. One of the things that the UDU is looking at, which is a little more overriding than UDC, with the plans that the possible plans for the enhancement of the waterfront. Overall, what UDU is looking at is making Bastia somewhat of a coastal city, where there is interaction with the sea and the land, and with the new marina plan and them kind of things. That would help to bring that into play. And Mr. Duggins mentioned in the past, both entities had worked together to do some enhancement of the coastal area, mostly on the Newtown side. What we had done in the past was we had removed all the galvanized fencing that was along the Newtown Bay Road, and replaced it with concrete fencing. I don't know if people had noticed that, but that was a joint project that we did, UDU, UDC. So we work on that.
We are going to take, we're going to get the audience involved here shortly. 465-2555 is the local number, and 718-577-2916 is that overseas number, if that's more convenient. We will take a quick break. When we come back, we will continue our discussion with UDC and UDU right after.
Showtime shopping quirks. We got all the things you want. So many ways to shop. You can pick up curbside. It's Showtime shopping quirks. All the appliances, electronics, and furniture you like. Showtime. Showtime. We got it. Just what you need. Yeah, Quartz got it.
Farm care.
Fill your prescription from the comfort of your home or wherever you are in these 3 easy steps. 1. Take a picture of your prescription and send it to us via WhatsApp. 2. Place your order at least 1 hour before you come to pick up your medication. And 3. Bring your original prescription when you come to pick up your medication. To collect your medication at our Bird Rock branch, WhatsApp your prescription to 662-8623. And for pickup at our 4th Street branch, 662-2666. At Farm Care, your safety is our priority.
Tune in for Policing with You, a half-hour radio program every Thursday morning at 9:15 on ZIZ Radio. Join host Inspector James Francis of the Criminal Investigations Department as he focuses on crime, factors contributing to criminal activity, crime prevention, and how the community can assist the police in reducing crime. It's Policing with You every Thursday morning at 9:15 on ZIZ Radio. Join us.
Welcome back to this morning's Frank and Candid. I am Tony Nass, and we have in studio Mr. Ron Body, who is acting director of the UDU, and Mr. Stephen Duggins, chairman of the UDC. And it is time for you, if you have questions for these gentlemen with regards to urban development, generally here in St. Kitts, it is now your time to call. While we do that and while we wait, we will go back to Mr. Body here and talk about one of the other contentious issues here, of late, vendors, and how urban development, or the UDU, comes into play here.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Nice. First and foremost, I must mention that we at the UDU see street and sidewalk vending as an important segment of any urban population, right? Street vending provides a source of income for the self-employed, basically, and that carries into one of our major areas of concern, which is poverty alleviation. So with that being said, in recent times there have been some, I wouldn't want to call it issue, but challenge with street vendors and having to move vendors from the street. Urban Development Unit would have written a policy some 2-3 years ago, and right now it's coming into play, including the new food court. This is Chuck Food Court at North Independence Square Street. That would have been a project that was designed and now being implemented by the UDU. It was basically to first and foremost to remove the Chuck vendors from around Independence Square and put them in a central one location, basically.
Okay.
And
let's go to the phone. Say good morning to this caller. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Let me congratulate you. Your programs are always very interesting. I like the way you deal with things in a balanced nature.
Okay.
Don't allow anybody to ruffle you. And when you don't know, you say you don't know. Congratulations for a very good program all the time.
Thank you.
I would like to ask the gentlemen from the urban development, do they have any input when it comes to the water supply in an urban area? Do they do anything about it? Do they say anything about it? Do they suggest anything? Because I am in the urban area of Keon, and we still have water problems for all these years, up to today. Someone in the urban development has any say in that matter?
Yes. Water problems?
Thank you, caller. Urban Development Unit does have not a say, but we do consult and support for a lot of different areas. And the water situation in Keon and the surrounding areas is one of the things that we, along with other agencies, are looking at. There is a project currently looking at a desalination plant in the Keys area. It's still under review, but it's in basically a go ahead, and that in itself would alleviate the problem. However, that is time ahead, and I know the Water Services Department, along with the ministry as a whole, is looking at ways to alleviate this problem in the meantime. To tell you exactly what the plans are, I can't at this point, but I know they're looking into it, because it is something that is on the minister's table.
Okay. While we're talking about that, the market, is that part of your purview? I mean, UDU?
The market, it is an urban facility, so we do consult on the market every now and again, but it's under agriculture.
Okay.
who manages and
Any plans you know of for anything to do with the market? Any renovations? Any upgrades?
There are some ongoing renovations happening now, and I am aware that there was some sketches done to upgrade the market.
Okay.
Along with, to flow with the entire redevelopment of that area.
Okay.
But that again is under the Ministry of Agriculture, so they would be taking the lead with that in that regard.
Just to piggyback, Tony, urban development is all inclusive, and I'm not sure what's happening, but I believe that all the stakeholders need to play a more collaborative role as we look at this development.
Well, it is, well, you mentioned that there has been collaboration between...
More greater collaboration.
Okay. I think we got a call. Let's go to the phone and say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Mr. Nice.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? I'm calling from New York.
I'm hearing you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. My question is to the chairman of the urban development. Was he involved in the planning of Port-Gentil?
Quick answer, no.
Yeah.
He just born.
Okay.
You say he just born, so he wasn't involved.
Okay, when I was a boy,
Yeah.
Newtown had a bay area, come all the way down to the Long Pier. And when I used to work for Hospital, we used to pull the sugar barges out the factory pier and take them over the ship. We didn't have a dock yet up Boardwalk. And the way they built Port-Gentil, we had a hurricane that hit St. Kitts. I can't remember the name. And that was the first hurricane come from the western part of St. Kitts, which is by the fort. It come up in the southwest part. And it destroyed the whole waterfront. It took out Newtown Beach. Newtown had the sandy beach go all the way up the factory pier from Long Pier. And it took all the sand and reconfigured the island. And my question is, I hope and pray, listen to me now, I hope and pray that we don't have another hurricane from that part of the waterfront, because it will do a lot of damage to where Port-Gentil lived. The only thing survived that hurricane was the old Treasury building and the custom building, where there used to be the warehouse. So I'm saying to the chairman, I hope they put a good structure in place when they build Port-Gentil. Because if a hurricane come from that direction, only one hurricane, they said in history, ever hit St. Kitts from that direction. Okay. And I hope and pray it will never happen.
All right. We all hope and pray that.
Thank you.
For that. We got another caller. Let's take the other caller. Good morning. Welcome.
Me again from Keon.
Yes.
One of the gentlemen, they were talking about desalination.
Can you, we're not hearing you. Can you speak up a little bit?
Yes, one of the gentlemen was saying something about a desalination plant. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I don't think that it's going to come in my lifetime. But what I was wondering is that at one point in time, there was a well that was built in a low area, Keon, by Washcut. Are they looking at any areas where probably they could sink a well again and be able to supply some more water? Because Keon has a lot more houses than they had when I was growing up, when the water supply was more than adequate.
Okay.
No, it's not. So I'm just wondering if they are also thinking about that, seeing if they find water somewhere that they could bring up from the ground.
Okay.
Because the situation is dire.
Got you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have another call we can take? We'll just take the calls and then... Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Good morning, Mr. Nair.
Hey, good morning.
And your guests and them.
Yes.
Now, I heard the gentleman say they have something to do with the market. But there's nothing wrong with the market. What happened down by the market down there is the parking. We don't have enough parking. So the same way that they're going to develop in Newtown area and put parking space, why they don't do something like that in front of the market? And then if you bring it right out, it will be like in St. Thomas and Son, where you could come right up with your boat and park right there, land off where you got to land off, and tie off right there. Now, those are the things they need to look at. And let's go back now to Port Zante. I don't know if any one of them there is capable to tell me who Port Zante belongs to. This urban development is who? Is government? What? I would like to know who it belongs to. Because when I know they were building Port Zante, it was a giant between Matalan and the government. Then the government turned on and buy out Matalan. But now I hear that the government have nothing to do with Port Zante. So I will like one of them who know about the information to give me, update me on some ideas.
Okay.
Okay.
They're taking notes. They're going to answer that after the call. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I hear you talking about a hurricane out the west and had mashed up down there. That's the only hurricane come. Well, I believe it's South America to land.
Okay.
Yeah, you remember you had a hurricane named Lenny?
Lenny, yeah, I remember the name.
Yeah, and Lenny come with Port Zante there.
Okay. So
Lenny had come from down there.
So Port Zante survives then. That's what you said. Okay. All right. Got you.
Yeah, man.
All right. Got no calls. Okay. Got anyone you take on any of those questions? I think he mentioned something about the market and what you can do, and the other one was on who owns it. Yeah. So
there was the first call concerned the water problem.
The water problem in K-On, yes.
And I just want to just mention that the Water Services Department continue to do exploration for water and drilling wells and stuff like that. I'm certain that whilst the issue continues, they are making headway to deal with it.
Okay.
And if I could just add that I am to know that under the whole gambit of climate change, there are projects currently going on. I think it's looking at water as one, and I'm not sure if K-On area might be targeted, but I think every effort is being made to ensure that there's some kind of sustainable development, and that water would be readily available to all the residents. Okay. Let me see if I could switch to the question about Port Zante ownership. I did say in my opening that way back in 1992, under the Companies Act, a special purpose company was set up. We had a joint venture between government of St. Kitts and Island Dredges Limited. And the caller said that they bought out that thing. But for the record, Port Zante is owned by the government. And it's run by, it is what we call, the UDC is what we call a statutory corporation. We have a board of directors, which sets policy and under the direction of the minister. And I'm sure with some influence from the urban development unit, we look at how we could develop not only Port Zante but other areas. And I must say, well, I've only been chairman from earlier this year, but I've been on the board a bit before that. So I have some knowledge in terms of how the corporation runs and in terms of ownership and control. Tony said earlier, we do not own, we meaning UDC. UDC does not own any of the properties you see on Port Zante. They're all privately owned. The company was in the business of selling lands. You buy a piece of land and we dictate then in terms of structure and so on. You can't just come and put a skyscraper, for example. I remember in terms of the food court and so on, people had all kind of concept and designs. We rejected it, say, you had to maintain the aesthetics and so on the place. So, but in general and in short, Port Zante is owned by the government.
Okay.
And managed by the Urban Development Corporation.
Okay. This is a good time to talk to me about, we were talking about facilities on Port Zante and the management.
Yeah.
You had, so you take care of all common areas.
Yeah.
Right? You don't own the building, so if I have an issue with how a building looks, I have to go to that owner.
You will come to us. We have a very good relationship.
Okay.
For example, in preparation for the start of the cruise line coming back, we would have gone and spoken to a number of the owners and said, look, you need a little facelift here.
Okay.
And a number of them comply.
Okay.
But the other thing I want to add to talk about premises, property, there is what we call the Amina market.
Right.
Which smacks right on Port Zante. When they remove it from where it was and go out there because of space and so on, it is still managed by the Ministry of Tourism. That's what I say. Down there is a real dynamic place, right? So there is the Amina market, where the occupants pay a small fee, not to Port Zante, not to UDC, but they pay to the Ministry of Tourism, who manages those units for craft.
So let me get this straight. The Amina market operates on Port Zante and pay a fee to tourism.
Tourism manages that, yeah.
Tourism management.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's go back to the phone.
Well, we have a good relationship with the Ministry of Tourism. Like I said, we try to keep, improving that relationship as we move along. But
All inclusive.
All inclusive.
All right, there you go. We're in this together. Let's go back to the phone. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yeah, good morning, Tony.
Hey, good morning.
Yes, this is Jam down here.
Yes, Jam down.
My brother just called a while ago, and I was trying to explain that he had a hurricane and it damaged the boat in them and Port Zante. He's right. That happened when Matalan just finished the port and passed it over to the
way
government.
Back then. Okay.
And my good friend, you're supposed to know that UDC is a statutory corporation. It's run by government. These are things you must know. You should know these things. The next thing I want to congratulate the chairman for such a great job he's putting on. And he's right. He's here since the beginning. Not because he become chairman. He's on the board quite a while and he's doing a good job. And I asked the Lord to keep him and guide him because he worked with Mr. Esdale and Mr. Esdale was doing a very good job. Both of them. They were doing a good job, and I asked the Lord to guide him and keep him and guide the young people a part of UDC through this thing because we will get it right. Yesterday we had a ship, and I asked to put the vendors them down there. It worked. Vendors them congratulate me for putting it out there. What we want to see more vendors down there with small tents, various places around down there. All of them must jam up down by the terminal. But let me do it right. These people gonna eat, they gotta make money. Let me get it right. Have a good day, mister.
That sounds like a de facto management there, Port Zante. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any comments here? Okay, we got one more call. Let's take that call. Good morning, welcome.
Mr. Live.
Good morning.
Live.
Yes.
Am I on?
You're live.
I'm calling you back from New York.
Yes.
That was my brother just talked to you, Jam down. You see the caller that call and tell you I stay in America too long? He don't know nothing about St. Kitts waterfront. I was one of the greatest swimmers St. Kitts ever produced. Okay. I could swim from the factory pier all the way down to the fort.
All right. Well,
and he don't know nothing about me.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that tomorrow.
My brother well fight when the hurricane came and destroyed Newtown Bay and the whole front of Bastille. So I'm glad my brother called and I'm vindicated for that idiot to call him.
All right. Well, no, let's not do that. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Host, good morning. I want to say this to the gentleman who is dealing with the urban development. Right there in front of the public market, I think that it is possible to claim land from the sea to create some parking there for people who go to the market to do business. That will increase the sales of the people at the market. At the same time, you can find space there for people who do vending, right? Create about, let's say, 300 to 500 parking space, if that is possible. I think these are things that can help us to relieve the problems of these people who do vending. right? So please take a look at that and see what can happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. The idea is not a new one. Okay? I remember raising that question once when they were doing the second cruise pier, because my idea was that they had to be dredging, and most of the stuff they had to take back out to sea. And I was asking why we couldn't use that and drop it right in front of the market and create the same effect you were pointing to. But I think the idea they said was a bit late in terms of the planning and the money and etc. etc. And I was told that it's something which would be considered. So I don't know. UDU might have more money than UDC, so it's possible we can look at that in the development as we go forward.
As you said, Mr. Duggins, it's not a new idea. It is something that been looked at in the past, and currently there is a project that we are looking at to first and foremost to shore up the Irish Town Bay Road, and secondly to expand Bassey in a sense by reclaiming some land right in front of the market, go all the way back to the cenotaph. That project, I think Minister Powell in his campaign did mention it and talking about a boardwalk and stuff like that. That is something we're looking at.
Let's get these last call in, and then we will come back to you. Caller, you're live. Go ahead. Good morning.
Yes, man. Good morning, guys. Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good.
Okay, real quickly, I just wanted to. I remember they had a caller that called in sometime before, and he was talking about the reef in the bay, where the cruise ships come in and anchor off.
Yes.
Any one of these guys can address that, because I noticed that they had like an oil spill out in California.
Yeah.
And when I watched the news last night, they said that a lot of the ships then be crossing the area where they have a pipeline, and apparently one of the ships might have dragged their anchor and create that situation in California. So with that person that mentioned about the reefs there in St. Kitts, he said the boats then when they drop the anchor,
got that.
I don't know if the reef.
I don't know if any of these could answer that. I don't know.
And secondly,
go ahead.
I know they had a cruise ship in yesterday. Last time there was a cruise ship, there was a lady that had a grievance, so she wasn't able to pick up her guests. Is there any way that I don't know if that lady is listening, but can we get some feedback from any of the taxi drivers to attest to how they went yesterday?
Okay.
Thanks a lot, man.
We got one more.
Okay.
Final call. Go ahead. You're live. Good morning.
This is Dumpling speaking.
Yes, Dumpling.
I hear with your brother in New York. When he was talking about Mr.
Hello?
Mr. Naya also hear my father was on the radio, son boy. When he was talking about the ruiner thing here.
Dumpling, we're talking here about urban development.
Oh, well, he's supposed to know all of that because it's down there, he's from West Bongot and he's supposed to know this school. He's older than us.
Okay. All right, got that. Okay. Any of those calls you want to?
Let me get two quick comments, Tony. The first one about the person couldn't pick up the guest. I happen to be involved in the discussions for this bubble, right? And my understanding was that once you created a bubble, the tourists were confined to that area. However, they allowed them to go on special tours to designated sites. They weren't allowed to mix and mingle with the public. So I'm not sure what the person meant when they said they could want to pick up a guest. The ships and the tours knew. For St. Kitts, you come off, you go in a bubble, in a controlled environment where you go shop and whatever. And if you want to tour on land or you want to take a catamaran cruise, they were planned and organized in such a way that you have minimum mix with members of the public. So I'm not sure how the person wanted to pick up a passenger like that.
All right.
The second thing quickly is, when we talk about reclaiming land and backfilling and whatnot, it's an expensive venture, what I've learned, looking at Port Zante and so on. And it's difficult for government, in particular, to really pay large sums of money just to put some cars to park and to shop. When you put those investments, you want to make it to reclaim some kind of as much as possible. But it's something you still will consider. You have to consider parking. Yeah.
Mr. Buddy, you want to go into a wrap up for us? Anything you want to cover?
Okay. Thanks. Just want to again mention to the public that October is Urban Development Month. I want to invite any member of the public to come to our offices. Maybe you have some ideas you want to share with us, which I've heard some on the radio already. Our offices is upstairs Water Services Department. Just ask for urban development and come right through. Make sure you follow protocols. And just to wrap up, give an idea, further idea, some of the projects that we are currently dealing with. We continue to work on the 4th Street Improvement Project. We started that a few years ago, where we would have put in some new street lights and stuff like that. We also continue to work on the Independence Square. We're going to be trying to refurbish the fountain again and get it going very shortly. Car parks and parking and transportation on a whole, we are intimately involved with the traffic lights and stuff like that, planning for those stuff. We are looking also right now at a central sewage system for Newtown and Irishtown areas. We recognize that there's a lot of pollution, going back to pollution and stuff, with regards to waste disposal. That's liquid waste disposal, getting back into the sea and stuff. So we are looking into how we can get those areas in a centralized sewage treatment. Right. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. And again, want to invite you, the public, to just come along and have a chat.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
Mr. Duggins?
Yeah, quickly, let me just say thanks, Tony, for the opportunity and for inviting me to be on your program. And I don't think I could leave here unless I say a special thanks for the support of the Minister, Honorable Sean Richards, and my staff. I say my staff, the management, the facilities persons, those in the marina, and the entire crew at Port Zante. I think they have been doing a tremendous job. We have been trying to upgrade the facilities. We are trying to provide proper support with equipment, etc. And just want to say kudos to all those members and staff at on the UDC control at Port Zante. Even the ladies collecting the money for the car park, etc. Everyone right down. I don't want to miss out anybody. They have been tremendous in the support, including the other directors and the board. I want to say thank you. And we're gonna do things. I see good things in the future for the Urban Development Corporation and the unit. We have to collaborate a bit more with the unit as we move forward. But yes, we're gonna move out from Port Zante.
Okay. All right. And with that, thank you guys for coming in and sharing with us all of the ideas and plans. Thank you, the callers, for your input as well. And thanks for those of you just listening to Frank and Candid, as you always do. We will be back tomorrow, if it is to be, with much more right here on Frank and Candid. I'm Tony Nias. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Good day.